some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he can't shoot. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so I have a guest joining me in a few minutes. Conversations with Jay. Hold on, how did this get private? It's all crazy. Okay, hold on, beloveds. Hold on just a second. I don't know why, but for some reason, hold on, let me see something real quick. For some reason, the stream is showing that it's private. Hold on. So let me just fix that real quick. Okay, everybody, hit the like button. Okay, so there it is. All right. So it's showing. Okay. Now, with that all being said, as I was saying, Conversations with Jay will be joining us momentarily. He's running a little bit behind. And so I'll just entertain you guys until he gets here. All right, so let's see who's all here. Lillian X. Okay, you said it's staying private. Right. Hopefully it isn't saying that now. I don't think it is. Hold on, let me just double check one more thing, honey. You know they'll be messing with the Queen's channel, honey. Please pay attention. Hold on. Let me see here. Okay, one of the moderators, somebody check and see if it's still showing up as private, because I just changed it. It should be public now. Can somebody please check to see if it says public? Reggie said, woo, thought I was having a big one. I'm back. It said in private, but I'm glad I'm on here. Is it still saying private? Hold on. It should be saying private at this point. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, Leon said it's public. Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. I don't know how that happened. So anyway, With that all being said, let's see who's in here. Mama Joycelyn, Twisted Logic, Desmond, Andrea, okay, DJ Big Six, Dernicia is here, Nessie X, all right, Jasmine. Let's get into it. Lillian X, Perplex is here. All right, Nessa G, Sheila, Soldier M is in the house. Okay, Leon is here, Panther Strike. All right, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into Queen. I see you, Cherokee Descendant Dale. Claudette is here, and Mel, we the people. All right, let's get into it. Now, before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she sells a beard oil. With that all being said, everybody hit the like button. Don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you haven't been receiving those notifications. All right. So with that, hold on. Okay, so listen, I don't know if you guys caught it, but they're calling for a civil war, or at least they were. Now the main person who was calling for it's trying to backtrack because he don't want to get in trouble on TikTok. We're going to get into that in a minute, but before we do, let's get into Jimmy Kimmel because you know Jimmy Kimmel came back Tuesday, right? And he had a lot to say. So hold on, let me just pull this video up real quick. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put up an overlay over this because we don't need any copyright issues. Okay, here we go. Okay, I don't know why that's not allowing me to enlarge it.
Where we are not airing tonight, by the way. Sorry, Seattle. His name is Larry. In 1989, Larry tried to force me to do a bit called Jokes for Donuts, where people would call in with a joke and I would give them donuts. I refused to do it, and then I made a lot of fun of Larry for suggesting it, and eventually Larry fired me, and I had to move back in with my parents. But even he wrote in to cheer me up. Thank you, Larry, and I want to thank everyone who checked in. I would say all week to list all of them, but some that I do especially want to mention are my fellow late night talk show hosts, my friend Stephen Colbert, who's found himself in this predicament, my friends Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, even Jay reached out. I heard from late night hosts in other countries, from Ireland and from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian. The Germans are like, come here, come loose. My boyhood idols, Howard Stern and David Letterman, were very considerate and kind, and I feel honored to be part of a group of people that knows what goes into doing a show like this. And I also want to thank all of you.
He said he was making plans to leave the country.
You supported our show, cared enough to do something about it, to make your voices heard.
Okay, so here's Jay. I'm going to go ahead
and
add him to the screen.
Maybe most of all, I want to thank the people who don't support my show and what I believe, but support my right to share those beliefs anyway. People who I never would have imagined, like Ben Shapiro, Clay Travis, Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, even my old pal Ted Cruz, who, believe it or not, said something very beautiful on my behalf.
I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled that he was fired.
Oh, wait, no, not that. The other part.
But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
Well, you
we
can and
don't
can't
like
say.
what you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like. That will end up bad for conservatives.
I don't think I've ever said this before, but Ted Cruz is right. He's absolutely right. This affects all of us, including him. I mean, think about it. If Ted Cruz can't speak freely, then he can't cast spells on the Smurfs. Even though I don't agree with many of those people on most subjects, some of the things they say even make me want to throw up. It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it. And thanks.
Grip, stability, precision.
Okay, so that all being said, let me go ahead and remove this off the screen. Hey, Jay.
What's up? How we doing?
We're doing good. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate the invite.
So, yes, absolutely. Okay, so Jay, they were calling for a civil war. This wasn't MAGA nut. And but since he didn't get the response that he was looking for, now he's trying to backpedal and apologize. And I was all in my feelings and all this ignorance. But I find it interesting because, the right keeps blaming everything on the left, saying that they radicalized the shooter, the guy that killed Charlie Kirk. But in fact, they're the ones that are radical and spew all the hatred and vitriol and, calling for avenging his death, talking about you don't know what dragon you've awakened, all that stuff that they said at the memorial, which to me was nothing more than a glorified Klan rally. That's what that was.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I feel like the shooter, we don't really know enough about the shooter, right? How could we say that the shooter is radicalized?
Right. They said he was radicalized by his trans partner. Now, the reason they're pushing that narrative, in my opinion, is because they have this whole thing where they're going in after trans people, acting like so many trans shooters. There's probably been 2 that I can recall. They're like probably less than 1% of the population, but they act like there's such a problem. And remember, on the day that Charlie Kirk lost his life, they asked him, how many trans shooters are there? And he said too many, because he'd sound pretty silly saying there's only 2 after he's been going in so hard in the paint about trans shooters, as if they're the ones disproportionately committing mass shootings.
So my question is this: where's the name of this trans boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever? Where's the photo of the person? Like, where's is there a friend of this shooter? Is there anybody who knows this guy? Where's the interview of somebody who said, that's my cousin, that's my brother? Wasn't he handed in by his father? Like, we don't know anything about it. Like, I'm starting, like somebody had mentioned earlier that this might be an AI photo of somebody. And I'm starting to be like, you might be honest. So I'm just wondering, like, we don't know anything.
Yeah, it seems like a whole psyop, in my opinion, because nobody, like you said, we don't know the name of this person. The person has come out publicly. Now, they keep saying that the person's cooperating with the authorities, was given information. They put out some text messages, but the text messages really didn't have dates on them or anything like that. I mean, it just looked, they could have just made that up. And we all know that you can create text messages. So that doesn't prove anything either, as far as I'm concerned. Right. And also, who's going to be talking about the plot for a murder in text messages and then tells the person to delete it? Why would you even text it in the first place?
Well, this is, as far as I know, this is an Ivy League, like, either graduate or he got a scholarship. I don't think he was an Ivy League, but I think he got a scholarship. Could have been, but he got a scholarship. He's a very smart individual, and he's 22 years old or something. He doesn't know that text messages stay on your phone even if you delete them. Really?
Of course he knew that.
Of course he would know that. So he's not going to say delete the text messages. Like, he's not a 78-year-old grandmother that just, is still figuring out the phone. Like, he's a young kid that has a lot of smarts. Why are you going to say delete these messages? Number one. Number two, he said where he put the gun. He said why he did it. He said where he is right now. He said what his plan is. He said what gun he used, whose gun it was. All this stuff that none of those questions were asked, right? Like, and he just volunteered the entire case on a silver platter, and his father turned him in. It just seems very convenient. And you remember the Jesse Smollett thing, when everybody was like, poor Jesse, and black people were like, it sounds a little fishy.
I mean, I tried to give Jesse the benefit of the doubt, but when I found out the police showed up and he had that little string that was supposed to be a noose, he still had it around his neck. Jesse, come on, who does that? If somebody tries to hang you, you're going to sit there with it around the rope around your neck.
And wait for the police to come to your crib.
And then you're in Chicago in the midst of winter at 2 a.m. in the morning. You're going for a sub sandwich, and you're rich. You're a whole rich person. You don't have anything in there to eat. You have anything you can do other than walk to Subway late at night.
You never heard of Uber Eats?
Yes,
like,
right. It's all crazy.
In
okay,
the
so now listen. Yeah, in the winter in Chicago, of all places. And then didn't he say that they tried to pour bleach on him?
They did.
With a bottle of bleach. Okay, make it all make sense. Okay, so now with that all being said, I want to go to this video where this idiot is talking about civil war. And he's so serious. He's talking like he's really, hoping Trump hears this. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Let's do it.
And then I'm also going to show you all the video. And we have a few people that posted responses. That's what I'm saying. It didn't go the way he thought. I guess he thought everybody was going to be all up in arms and ready to, saddle up. Okay, we ride at dawn. I guess that's what he was thinking, but it didn't turn out like that. So now it's like, oh, yeah, I was just in my feelings. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country. This is good versus evil, Mr. President. We will follow you. I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to die. We are all Charlie Kirk.
Once upon a time, people like this were the immigrants. People seem to forget that unless you have Native American blood in you, at one point in time, you were an immigrant. It's too bad the Native Americans didn't think like this. And what kind of person in their right mind wants a civil war in the same country that they live in?
Yeah, exactly. Besides an idiot. Okay, now let's go to this other one with somebody talking about it.
MAGA's not the smartest people out there. So after the Charlie Kirk assassination, you had a lot of MAGAs going online talking about a civil war. Well, this guy here decided to make a video. He called for people to share that video so that it could get to Donald Trump. Like, he literally addressed Donald Trump and asked him to please call for a civil war because he wanted to get together with all the MAGAs and the Patriots and go door to door, street to street, gathering up leftists. He said that. He posted it, and yeah, he didn't get the response he wanted.
I woke up today to thousands of views and likes on my last video. So keeping with the traction, let's try to get this video in front of Donald Trump, in front of President Trump, excuse me. Sir, you took the same oath as millions of veterans in this country, over 13 million veterans in this country, most of whom are conservative. We took the same oath to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. These leftists are our enemies. This is no longer left versus right. This is good versus evil. You have, give or take, 3 years left. If you call for a civil war, the conservative veterans in this country will take our country back from the evil left Nazis who have destroyed our country, who mutilate our children, who rape our children, who coddle pedophiles. They don't even call them pedophiles anymore. They're minor attracted persons. This is good versus evil, Mr. President. We will follow you. We will take this country back. And what we start here will echo around the world. Italy, Germany, Ireland, France, UK, Poland, Hungary. Everybody's tired of it. Everybody's tired of this leftist woke bullshit that is ruining our countries. We use words, they use bullets. Mr. President, I implore you, call for a civil war. Call for a civil war and let us do our thing. Let us go door to door, street by street, and clean this country.
How many times are we going to see these people look straight into a camera in their car and address Donald Trump? Like they talk to him as if he's going to hear any of this BS. Remember the guy who was pulled over by the police and he didn't want to get out of his car and he was just like, please, Donald Trump, please save me, Mr. Trump, please, in Jesus' name. Like, what? And this guy literally is like, all right, I want you guys to share this. Mr. Trump, please call for the civil war. We're ready. Dude, go outside and see if you can run a mile under 10 minutes. Like, you're not going to last in the civil war. It's always dudes like this.
Exactly. As if he's prepared for battle. Like, sit down somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to play 2 more videos, Jay, and then I'm going to let you speak. Now, I'm going to this guy who's commenting on the video. Then we're going to go to him backpedaling all of a sudden. But too late because people have already shared that video. He took it down, but it's not going anywhere, dude.
Trumper who was begging Donald Trump to declare civil war so that he and his buddies could go door to door, drag people out of their homes, and clean the streets. And you know what's funny? When you go to his page, you know what his bio says? I bet you do. Yeah, it says, follower of Christ, trying to get closer to God every day. This is why we don't respect people like this. Jesus Christ said to turn the other cheek. And here you are, when something happens, your first call is for violence, is for blood, is for payback, vengeance. That doesn't sound like a follower of Christ to me. We have zero respect because you cannot tell me you are a follower of Christ, getting closer to God, and then wanting to systematically go door to door, drag people from their homes and pow them away. That is not that. I don't understand how we got here as a society. I don't understand how we get back from here as a society, because you have people like this roaming the streets, begging to do harm to their fellow citizen. People that are innocent, that haven't done anything. They want to go door to door and hunt people down, but yet proclaim their faith and their love in the name of Jesus.
Make it make sense. Okay, now let's go to him backpedaling all of a sudden. Yeah, he didn't mean it. Now he didn't mean it. I wasn't thinking.
I lost it. I was extremely emotional. I let social media and my emotions get the better of me, and I made a video talking about civil war. I posted a video the next day asking the president to call for civil war. A few hours later, I took the videos down. You know, I talked to friends, and you know, they you know, I fucked up. I shouldn't have never posted it. I don't want a civil war. You know, I have friends on both sides. I've been doxxed online now. I'm having to send my family away. I'm losing my family over this. You know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I posted that shit. I'm sorry I let my emotions get the better of me. I'm a grown man. I shouldn't have fucking done that. Now I have to pay for the fucking consequences.
Oh, shit. You've had a change of heart. Yes, right. You don't want a civil war. You're just talking that shit. You know what I'm saying? But don't take the video down, because we got it now. And we know how you think. We know how all y'all think out there, especially when you get a couple beers in you and shit and 2 or 3 shots of Jack Daniels. So we still gonna prepare for your ass. You know what I'm saying? The only reason why you took that shit down is because you're getting so much slack for it. But that's really how the fuck you feel. In your mind, That's what you want is a civil war. But in your heart, you know better. Unless you just ready to go to the graveyard. Unless you're ready to go meet this motherfucker standing up behind me. But I thought you'd have a change of heart. Yeah. Like I said, that's your Wawa shit. Keep on selling them damn wolf tickets. Somebody gonna buy some of them. I'm just telling you. You're a grown-ass man, like you said. And I know you say that you're sorry. We don't believe that shit. Because you know what? The hatred is real. Now, you motherfuckers keep on following that orange motherfucker. Keep right on following him. And you will be Charlie Kirk if you keep fucking around. Now, if you're ready to be him, keep doing what you're doing. Because there are a lot of people out here don't mind putting something on your ass. I would say that I'm disappointed in you, but I'm not. I'm almost 60 years old, and I know how you think. I know how you fucking think. But you know what? You just ain't got that heart. You ain't got that heart, but you got that mouth. That'll get you fucked up. So, David, I hope you get your kids back and your wife and stuff. Most important of all, I hope that you realize that following Donald Trump, that man that you following, gonna cost you a hurt of a lifetime of nothing but pure pain. Because that motherfucker ain't nothing but the devil. And he don't give a fuck about David, David's kids, or his wife, or nobody. He didn't give a fuck about Charlie Kirk. So you keep doing what you're doing. Keep on selling them wolf tickets. Some motherfucking body. Or buy some of them. I'm just saying.
All right. So what do you have to say about it all, Jay? He was ready for it.
I have so many questions. Like the first question I have is, okay, you're gonna go door to door and do what? Are you gonna drag people out the house like Paul before he became a Christian? Like, what you gonna do? Like, and then what do you think the person is gonna do when you knock on their door? Do you think this is what's that movie called, where you could do crazy things for a day? Like Purge. You think this is Purge?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how you gonna know where they at? Like, are you gonna knock on the door? Hey, knock, knock. Are you on the left or on the right?
Right.
Like, MF, get out. How did you think this was gonna go down? And how many doors did you think you were gonna be able to get to before you couldn't get to any more doors? You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing. These people are so nonsensical because do they even realize the destruction that will be caused by a civil war in this day and age? Back in the day when they had the Civil War, which it took about 10 to 15 years to come back from that, okay, getting everything back in order, and they had muskets, okay? We have all of this high-tech equipment, rocket launchers, AR-15s, bombs. So we already know they'll be dropping bombs. They did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
More guns than people altogether.
Yes. Okay. This would destroy the infrastructure. Buildings would collapse. I mean, just be down on the ground. It's all crazy. There was like over 600,000 people, I believe, that died in the Civil War. There would be way more than that in this day and age. So these people don't even think things through when they start talking.
And then what does he mean, take our country back? Last time I checked, the Republicans are in power right now. What are you talking about?
Take it back from who?
Take it back from who? You have the country right now. Your guy is the president. So take it back from who?
And all of this because Charlie Kirk has passed away. And, one of them did it. So and the person's whole family is MAGA. So why are they still pushing this narrative about the left being responsible? And here's the thing. I'm going to tell you why they're pushing the narrative about the left being responsible. I'm not talking about Trump because we know why he's doing it. But a lot of these people, these MAGA people specifically, they know that a lot of Black people vote with the left. Okay. And that's what they really want. They want a race war and a civil war all in one. That's what that's why you see that guy was found hanging from a tree the day after Charlie Kirk was killed. Then you have a white man found hanging from a tree. And in my life, I've never heard of a white man being hung from a tree. Now, I believe that they absolutely hung that man so that it would look like black people got outraged by the black person hanging from the tree. And then we went and did the same thing. I think that's what they were trying to put out. But the fish didn't bite. Nobody fell for it. The story died down. And so now they're back to square one, now trying to figure out, even further how they can start some BS.
No, 100%, 100%. That's why the black colleges were receiving threats, like because like it's black people didn't kill your dude. And another question I have for this dude was, do you act like this when somebody, one of your friends, your family member, God forbid, that when they pass away, did you act like this? Because I'm pretty sure you never met Charlie Kirk, you don't know who he is. You don't know anything really about him personally. You just know about the rhetoric that he spews on the internet. Like you don't even know the guy. So are you riding this hard for your own family? I wonder.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, just like the black people that were doing the same thing, ready to debate and do battle and to defend Charlie Kirk. And I guarantee you, none of those people had anything to say about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Sonia Massey. They have anything to say about that. They were silent. And I find that all very interesting. Now, what they have done, Jay, is they had a guy who was supposed to be like I guess he's the Charlie Kirk 2.0, a Charlie Kirk representative. He went to the HBCUs. Okay, trying to preach that stuff, and they ran him up out of there. Did you hear about it?
I didn't.
Yeah, I showed the clip this morning. They ran him up out of there. He's in there with his little MAGA hat, trying to talk to those students at the HBCUs. You see,
do you know his name?
That's what
Do you know his name?
The guy's name? No, I don't know his name, but I can pull the video up.
Yeah, I wonder if he came up on my feed because my algorithm's been doing some crazy stuff lately, and like I've been getting a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff, learning a lot. So I wonder if he's one of the people that came up on my feed who just straight up lied about DEI.
What were they saying about DEI?
He was literally saying that people are being hired and they're unqualified.
Oh, you know what? I was playing something about that earlier. It was on was it Jasmine Crockett? I want to say it was Jasmine Crockett arguing with him or whatever, and Simone Sanders, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they were arguing with this guy. He was basically saying that these people are not qualified when they're DEI, but that's ridiculous because they still have to be qualified. I don't know how they don't get that.
I've been in real estate since 2008, and I've historically always felt many times that I didn't get certain listings or certain positions. These people's money, they can do whatever they want with it, but it's because I didn't look the part. So it's so interesting that nobody had ever had anything to say when people like minorities, let's just say minorities altogether, whether it's women, people of color, or whatever. Nobody had anything to say when minorities had to be twice as good. Right? Nobody had anything to say.
Exactly.
Right? When women couldn't do anything, people shouted out, "It's a man's world." Right? Nobody had anything to say. Right?
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. And then when those people are given an opportunity, right? Now all of a sudden it's a problem. And people usually say, when you've been eating from a silver spoon all your life, when you eat from a regular spoon, it feels like oppression.
Right. I can imagine.
Exactly.
Because they seem like they just want to be oppressed so bad. Nobody's oppressing you.
Exactly.
Like it's all crazy.
And it's so funny when they talk about playing victim all the time, and you guys like to play victim, but that's exactly what you're doing. That's what you sound like.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's not that we're playing the victim; we are the victims of a system of wanton supremacy. Okay,
it is what it is. I didn't choose it, but who's sitting here going to tell me or tell you that being a minority has ever been something that you're like, yeah, this is great that I'm a minority. No, you got to work twice as hard.
That's right.
You got to be twice as qualified. And it's not
That's
because
right.
of, I don't want to say it's because of racism. Don't get me wrong. It's not because of racism. It's just because people are conditioned to see a certain thing and say, okay, if you look like this, you must be good at this. And if you look like this, you must be bad at this. It's just that's how they're conditioned. So naturally, they're likely not to give the chance to somebody who doesn't look the part. It's just
No,
how it is.
it's absolutely because of racism.
You think
It's
so?
absolutely because of racism. Yes. If it was based on how people look, I'm sure there would be certain people not in certain jobs. It's definitely based on racism. And here's how I know. First off, this country has always existed with racism and white supremacy, or wanton supremacy, as I like to call it. They do sneaky, underhanded things. Now, here's the thing.
I like that
A
one.
lot of people feel like people who don't look like me, who say they're not racist. They actually are racist. They just feel like, oh, you can't classify me as racist because I have black friends. Or that but they still say the N-word and all of that. Please pay attention behind that black person's back. And then also they're not going out here burning crosses. Okay. They're not members of the Klan. Okay. They don't say the N-word in public and things like that. So they feel like they're not racist, but you still have the racist mindset. Racism is intertwined with white supremacy. This is why when people ask me, can a black person be racist? And I will say no, because racism is a system that goes along with a system of white supremacy. If you're under the system of white supremacy, you belong to that system, whether you choose to or not, you inadvertently belong to it if you are a white person. That is a power structure. It is a religion. Okay. It is what runs this country. And all of us live under it, and we have no power under it, which is what makes us oppressed. But if you look like the people that own this power structure, then inadvertently, whether you choose to or not, you are a part of that system. And therefore, you have the ability to be racist, because racism isn't just about saying ugly and mean things. It's about the actions that you're allowed to do, the power that you are allowed to have. For example, these people that don't want to hire people because of the way they look, well, that's part of it. But the way they look is if they are non-white. Okay, that's what a lot of this is. Let's not forget about the redlining that went on in this country behind closed doors. See, there's a hidden hand of racism, and then there's the blatant racism that we can see every day. But there's a hidden hand of racism where you say things like, remember how back in Jim Crow when they said, whites only? Okay, no blacks allowed. Okay, only hiring whites. They still do all of that. Nothing has changed. They just changed what they call it. Now, instead of saying whites only, they'll say you can't work here. I've been told this before. They'll say you can't work here in corporate America if you have locks in your hair, afros, bantu knots, twists, any sort of ethnic looking hairstyle. And, very often they want people to conform. They want you to perm your hair. They want you wearing wigs and weaves and all of that. This is why we had to have the Crown Act. The Crown Act is ridiculous to me, because why do we have to have a policy that says that you cannot discriminate against me if I come to apply at your company simply because I'm wearing my hair in its natural state? Okay, all of these things factor into why people are not hired. Did you know, Jay, that there was a couple of black women that sued because their resumes were thrown in the trash because of their names?
Well, here's two things. Before I get to what I agree with you about, I want to address the racism thing. And actually, before I address those two things, I want to address exactly what you just said. Do you know in certain countries in the Caribbean, you actually have to include your photo with your resume? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Like you got to include your photo with your resume, because I'm sorry to let everybody know, but the Caribbean is one of the most racist places on earth. Like I'm telling y'all, everybody be thinking like, oh, well, most people are black, or, people of color, as people would call them. No, the Caribbean people love white people. I'll just put it that way, and you guys can go and argue with ChatGPT. Don't argue with me. Okay. That being said, I want to talk about the thing I don't agree with, and I do want to tell you I do agree with one of the things that you said. And I like the want supremacy instead of white supremacy. I like that one.
Thank you.
We're looking at it in two different ways, because I'm not just looking at it with that white people have hiring power. For me, for example, I might not look at a white person as a good basketball player, for example, or as a great certain type of musician. Let's just put it that way. So what I'm saying is if they don't look the part, I'm less likely to say, yeah, you're going to be great at this job. I think that we've been conditioned oftentimes to that this type of person, that if they look like this, or they act like this, or they talk like this, or they come from this, they're probably going to be great at this. Like, I'm not going to hire a white chef to cook my Caribbean food in my restaurant. Like, what would you know? So that's the reason why. That's the reason why I'm saying this. I think we're looking at it from two different angles, but I do understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with anything you said. I'm just saying that I also do believe that a lot of times it does come from the fact that you don't look the part.
Now that happens too. I absolutely agree with that. But I think it's more discrimination than anything. And they know it is. That's why they had to give us DEI and affirmative action. That proves it right there.
But
if there was no racism in the hiring and no discrimination, because racism and discrimination go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, or you can't have racism without discrimination, shall I say. So with that all being said, they know that racism exists as far as them hiring people for jobs. And that's why they came up with these policies, so that it would be more fair. Now, with that all being said, yeah, there are
you know what we call that, Queen?
certain.
You know what we call that? Systematic.
Yeah, it's systemic.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
Systematic racism or oppression.
Yeah. And that's the reason why when people say, I have no idea, like, especially I've heard Black people say it. Well, I don't know. Systemic racism doesn't exist to me. I've never felt it. I've never seen it. Yeah, because you're a dumbass.
Exactly. Okay.
They got you.
We have even institutionalized racism. Okay, within the prison system and all of that.
Sorry, Powell. I hope I'm pronouncing your name.
Powell Bunyan.
Yeah, you're no ugly people at reception. That's correct. I actually heard that recently. I heard, yeah, we're hiring a new person. I want to make sure they look good. I swear to you. Right, but also it could be women too, right? Like a lot of people, like they do this with women as well. But I just find it hilarious that there was never a problem when it was harder for people from a minority group. There's never a problem. And as soon as there's an effort to make it easier for people from a minority group, there's a problem. And then they're accompanied by lies such as you are not qualified, when we've always had to be overqualified. So what would change now? Like, what in the world would change now? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody knows you got to be a little bit better when you look a little bit of a certain way. Everybody knows that. You know what I'm saying? So if I saw a Black pilot, I would have been like, yeah, he must be the best pilot. Because nothing was handed to him.
And also to what you said about the looks, whether a person has to look or not. Well, that's what Trump goes by in certain cases, because he got rid of the U.S. The Attorney General of Virginia. Okay, the guy who'd been doing this job, I think like 20-something years. He got that guy to resign. And so now he's hired this lady who's totally not qualified, but she's very attractive to me. Her name is what is her name? Lindsay Halligan. Okay. She's attractive, but she's basically been working in insurance claims as an attorney. Now she's the U.S. Attorney for Virginia. Make it all make sense. Okay, totally not qualified. But see, that's a problem. But they'll sit there and complain about DEI, okay, and say, "Oh, these people aren't qualified." It's all crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go to the video of this guy
nepotism is through the roof with them.
Yeah.
Nepotism is through the roof with them. They don't like, oh yeah, but so nepotism is okay, but DEI isn't.
And then let's talk about racism too, again, because as far as hiring. Okay, so here's how we know that it doesn't go by looks all the time, because blatant racism. Let's take Shakur Sanders, for example. Okay, he's like one of the best quarterbacks, all right? His father's a whole legend. And with that all being said, he's not being able to play. They're benching him. They're making up all these excuses. They tried to sabotage him in one of the games. At the end of the day, the NFL colluded basically to not even draft him at all. They were not even going to draft him. And then when he does get drafted, it's like 5th round pick, 144. but he should have been like a first round draft pick. And we all know it, and they know it too. You know, they don't like the fact that Dion, they call him arrogant, okay, or cocky. A black man that's confident and masculine and about his business is a threat to them. So they're hating on Dion, and so they're taking it out on his son Shadur. They also said that Shadur was, I guess, too braggadocious when he did the interviews or whatever, because he's confident in himself and believes in himself and doesn't need a zaddy. Okay, because his father is his role model. At the end of the day, even Tom Brady, who was his mentor, okay, talk trash about him. So and that's what I'm saying. Some of these people will smile in your face but stab you in the back. At the end of the day, it's just all crazy. And they have the hidden hand, you know, like I said, a lot of times to control and pull the strings.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And
they could ruin your whole career. Look at how they ruined Colin Kaepernick's career.
Right. As far as is this dude, I think this is the same guy. Let me hear him speak.
Okay.
No, it's not the same guy.
They ran him up out of there. Okay, they're clearly not trying to hear it. And another thing is Charlie Kirk started out going to HBCUs as well. Okay. And that didn't work out so good.
I heard that. You know why? Because he didn't think that we had the brain processing power.
And then trying to debate them, they literally chewed him up and spit him out.
Well, you saw we talked about the one in Cambridge.
Oh yeah, that was bad too.
It's embarrassing.
That was bad too. But those students on the HBCU, they did the same thing at the HBCUs. That's why he stopped going there. Okay, so now with that all being said, here's the thing. You know, Charlie Kirk, I do believe he's a racist. Some people don't. But if you ask me, if he was not a racist and a wanton supremacist, there's no way in hell these people will be ready to go to war for him. That's what they wouldn't be doing. There's no way they'd all be talking about, we are Charlie Kirk. Okay, this whole movement has started, okay, because of Charlie Kirk. And that's how you know they viewed him as racist and as a wanton supremacist. Those are the only people they will ever pick to be their leaders. Okay, so that proves my point right there. Okay, that proves my point right there. Let's not forget about Reynard Campos over there in France, the one who started the Great Replacement theory that many of these mass shooters in America, you know, quote. Okay, Charlie Kirk quoted him. They will not replace us. They want to put out the illusion that immigrants are coming here illegally and trying to replace them. I don't know why they think anybody's going to replace white people. Nobody's trying to replace them. That's just a talking point they came up with, in my opinion, just to shun the immigrants, just to make excuses and sow discord with immigrants coming here. Immigrants coming here stimulates the economy at the end of the day. But they'll sit here and act as though, oh no, they're trying to replace us. The El Paso shooter a few years ago, Patrick Crusius, I read his manifesto. Okay, now this man went to El Paso, Texas because he wanted to kill immigrants. Because he said also the same thing that Reynard Campos was saying, that they want to replace the white people. And he also blamed it, you know, on automation, because he's saying they're going to take away the jobs and all of this stuff or whatever. These people love to play the perpetual victim when they are absolutely the villains. And I just don't get it. What are they thinking?
It's very ironic because wasn't Texas a part of Mexico to begin with?
Yes. They make no sense. And again, nobody is trying to replace them. Now, I want you to hear, do you know who Pastor Jamal Bryant is?
I think I saw him today. I think I saw him today.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to play this video of what he said about Charlie Kirk.
In front of his congregation, correct?
Right.
Jamal had to say about all these other black pastors praising Charlie Kirk. Watch this. I'm concerned about all of these Negro preachers who've been, in fact, talking about that this man that was killed was the answer to Christ in the earth. Y'all ain't saying that. They having moments of silence in black churches all over the country over a man that was racist and a white supremacist. How dare you compare him to Martin Luther King? The only thing that Charlie Chris and Martin Luther King got in common is both of them was killed by a white man. After that, they got nothing else in common.
Pastor didn't tell not one lie, and he didn't care about nobody's feelings getting hurt. Because the truth is the truth. And all you other black pastors, y'all need to stop with the BS. Stop with that BS, because that man wasn't nobody to us. That man was a white supremacist. He was racist, and he didn't care nothing about no black folks. He said we all did better as slaves. He said the civil rights movement should have never happened. It was a mistake. So stop trying to praise this man and try to make him out to be somebody that he's not. And then y'all had the nerve to compare this man to Martin Luther King Jr. Are y'all kidding me? Like he said, the only thing that Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King had in common was that they were shot by a white man. And it ends right there. That's it. That's all. Nothing else. I'm so happy that our black leaders are stepping up and letting us know the man was who he was. And we're not about to sit here and play the Lulu for nobody. You ain't got to celebrate it, but you ain't got to sit up here and try to put this man on a pedestal like he wasn't who he was. Did he say Charlie Chris? Pastor.
Yeah, he did.
It's Kirk.
He did.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, he did. I heard it when he said Charlie Chris. He was going in. But the thing is, Charlie Kirk spewed racist rhetoric. And if you ask me, the only people who spew racist rhetoric are racist. And he looked down. And here's the thing. There are several different definitions if we go to the dictionary definitions of racism. But here's my favorite one. Okay, here's my favorite one. Let me just pull this up. Lights up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here it is. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see this. Now, humiliated or degraded because of their race or ethnicity. At an organizational level, it can also be the collective failure to provide an inclusive and professional working environment to people because of their race or ethnicity. Yeah, that happens often. Which best defines racism? According to dictionary definitions, racism is prejudice and discrimination based on race. With that all being said, Charlie Kirk was absolutely a racist. Racism can also be said to describe a condition in society in which a dominant racial group, which is white people, benefits from the oppression of others, whether that group wants such benefits or not. And that is exactly my point, because whether or not you choose to be, a benefit of white supremacy, wanton supremacy, racism, if you live under a system and you're a white person and the system is white supremacy, you absolutely benefit from that system. Okay, so you have more power than I do. I cannot oppress you under a system that you are a beneficiary to and that your people control. I just can't do it. Okay.
That reminds me of what I had agreed with you about. I don't believe you can be a minority and be racist. I don't believe you could be black and be racist, for example. I also don't believe that. I think it's impossible. Because it's an oxymoron. How can I be the oppressed and also be
the oppressor?
It makes no sense. So that's the reason why I said that you can't be black and be racist. So I do agree with you with that. Do I think that Kirk was racist? You and I have had this conversation. He doesn't meet my qualification. I believe he was a want supremacist. I do believe that, but I don't believe, because my definition of racist is that it's specific. Whatever hate you have towards somebody is go ahead.
Hold on one second. Denise Holt, I'm going to drop the link so you can click it. So you can get up here and tell us what you have to say. Because she says Charlie was the least racist person on this planet, which sounds ridiculous. How would you even know if he was the least racist person on this planet? Okay, and we definitely can't tell by the things that he said. Okay, shut up with all the racism ish. Well, this is, I'm sure, a person who doesn't look like me who gets upset when people who do look like me call out their BS. Okay?
I love to have a conversation with
Call
Denise
out
here from her
racism.
perspective. Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that
Yeah,
again.
so that's why I say he doesn't meet my qualification. But here's the thing. The reason, the only reason is
there's the
I
link.
believe,
Either click the link or you're banned from the channel. Because if you're bold enough to say in the chat, say it up here. But continue.
yeah, say with your chest, Denise. Come on.
Mhm.
Like I said, for me, I believe that Kirk's only issue with people that look like us happens when it threatens his want supremacy. I believe if we were no threat or anything like that, he wouldn't care. He wouldn't talk in a negative way about black people. So that's the reason why. So that's the reason why I believe truly racist people. It doesn't matter if you're a threat or not. They specifically cannot stand you because of who you are, and that's what I think the difference is. But I would, Denise ain't gonna hit.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Say that again. Say that again, beloved.
I said I think truly racist people, whether you're a threat or not, they still hate you. They still want the worst for you. They still degrade you. They still put you down, even if you're not a threat. I think people like Kirk, he would never say anything, but until he started realizing that his want supremacy was being threatened, now he was like, okay, we got to put them down. We got to degrade them. And that's what I believe. There are people like that. But to me, it's the reason why you say the things you say that makes me think you are like this or you like this. To be honest, both I don't care for. But at least a racist person, like a truly racist person, I will never have to guess. You will tell me, I don't care. I don't like you. I like it. Like I don't think truly racist people have to be scared.
Okay, I'm not getting any of this. This person says, I agree. I don't think he was racist, but he was a white supremacist. That makes absolutely no sense. Okay, the only way you would be a white supremacist is if you are a racist. White supremacy, what does that even mean? It means that you think white is superior. Huh?
Yes, I do think that makes sense because
I'm talking to this person specifically.
Okay,
I think they actually said they think he's a white supremacist. But go ahead.
I think his negativity toward people who look like me. And when I say, let me be clear with y'all, by the way, especially for the Denises in the chat or Denises that are viewers. Let me be clear with you. When I say like speaking negative about black people, I'm not making this up. I'm not taking it out of context. All right. When the CEO of United Airlines says that we want 50% of our workers, not just pilots, but the people who work here, we want 50%. Let's just say it's pilots, because you're talking about pilots at the time. I want 50% of pilots, okay, to be either women or people of color, okay? And then Kirk says they are lowering the standards to hit a quota to hire more blacks. That is speaking negative about black people because they could have been 50% white women. But you never said that. You just said blacks and you said lowering the standard, well knowing, by the way, that United Airlines is one of the only airlines, if not the only airlines in America that has their own flight school. And knowing that the entire, speaking of context, by the way, knowing that the entire context of the conversation was not lowering standards, but making the education to become a pilot, i.e. flight school, more available to those people, to women and or people of color. So making it more available, making it more accessible, making it more easy to go and do the work, do the education, maybe going into those high schools, going into those communities, maybe going and advertising stuff online specifically to a particular demographic so they can get qualified, so they can be qualified for that. That was what the whole entire context of the thing was. Now, to hear Charlie Kirk say it, he just singles out blacks and says we're lowering the standards to hire more blacks. That's not talking negative about black people. Of course it is. And so I'm just saying that's what I mean when I say talking negative, just in case you guys were wondering.
Forgot I muted myself. Right. And usually the people that talk negative specifically about black people and other minorities are racist people. When they specifically demean other races and ethnic groups, but never say a negative word about their own, that means they feel superior. And that's what I'm saying to Ona, because Ona says white supremacy means that they believe that they are the chosen people and everyone else is under them. Well, if everyone else is under them, that means they feel superior, right? And I just showed you 2 definitions of racism. Okay. One of the definitions of racism, because there are several, one of them is feeling superior to another race or group of people. So if you are down with team white supremacy, there's no way you can't be racist because you already feel like you're better than me. Okay. And if you feel like you're better than somebody else just because how you look, the color of your skin, that is absolutely the definition of racism. Charlie Kirk was a whole racist, and it wasn't the fact that he was just intimidated by us, because he was that too. He did not like us to begin with. Because Jay, you said that you heard about Charlie Kirk after he died. I've heard about Charlie Kirk 6 or 7 years ago. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk has never, in my opinion, cared for black people. One of his own friends from his high school came out and said that Charlie Kirk was upset because he didn't get accepted to West Point. Okay, obviously he didn't fit the standard, the criteria, and he blamed it on a black person having been given that through affirmative action rather than him. And that wasn't even the case. He just didn't fit the bill.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And so that all being said, he blames black people. See, this is the thing about racists. What racist people do is they're very much so like narcissists in a way, because they don't accept any accountability or culpability for the things they do, not even their own shortcomings. Everything that happens to them negatively is always someone else's fault. It's always another group to blame. They go out looking for a job, can't find one. It's all the illegals are taking the jobs. They're trying to replace us. If they go and apply for a position in a company and they don't get it, and they see a black person working that position, well, they only got it because they're DEI. Okay, they don't look at the person's qualifications to see if they're actually better than theirs. They just automatically assume it's DEI. Charlie Kirk making the comment about the black pilots and completely dismissing the Tuskegee Airmen. Okay, the Tuskegee Airmen is absolutely insidiously obtuse at the end of the day. Okay, and at the end of the day, I just really, that man was the whole racist. Now, with that all being said, let's continue, because the bottom line is the people on the right don't want to take accountability for their actions. They blame everything on the left, and they blame it on black people. Okay, this is what they do. This is why HBCUs were being threatened days later after Charlie Kirk's assassination, even though, and it wasn't even an assassination, okay, because he was no political figure, in my opinion. All right. I saw some article lie and say that he was a Trump aide. No, he wasn't. Right. He was a podcaster.
He was a
That's what he
podcaster,
was.
100%.
And he had a nonprofit organization where he went around, and to me what he was doing was actually a grift, just like what Candace Owens is doing is a grift. Okay, this is all a grift. Charlie Kirk
Speaking
had
of
billionaires
unqualified.
backing him. Huh?
Speaking of unqualified, what you said about him,
Right.
said, like he has a high school education, right?
Exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
he didn't graduate from college either, right?
Well, he went to Harper Community College. He went to Harper Community College for maybe a semester or two.
Yeah,
And then he
so
dropped out.
okay, so you know what I'm saying? So like it's just funny that, and then if he's gonna blame, it's so ironic that you'll say, "Oh, my spot went to a black." First of all, prove it. But secondly, if you're saying my spot went to a black person because of affirmative action, so this is the way the ball rolls sometime, bro. Life's not fair. Get over it. But that's what I'm saying. When you grow up your entire life being fed with a silver spoon, when you're fed with a regular spoon, that seems and feels like oppression. And people don't really understand it, but that's how it is. Like, so what? So what? Okay, let's say that even happened. I don't believe it happened, But let's say that happened. So what?
Let me ask you this, Jay. Because Charlie Kirk was a white man, do you think that a white person would be able to assess whether or not he was racist more so than one of us?
Of course not.
I think so.
You think a white person will be able to assess it more?
Yeah, I think so. See, here's the thing.
I mean, yeah,
Some
a
white
racist
people are not
white
gonna,
one.
huh?
A racist white one, I would say, but not a white person, like just any old
No,
white person.
no. I would say it would take a white person who isn't racist to know that they're racist. Because here's why. I feel like I know black people better than any white person does. I feel like they know their people better than any black person ever could. And
Okay.
if a white person says that Charlie Kirk is racist, I'm going to believe them. Because why would they say it? Because most white people will deny racism even still exists, that we've come so far. We've moved so far ahead. But if his own people are listening to him and saying that he's racist, I absolutely would agree that he's likely racist. Well, I know that he is from what I've heard. But let's go to this video because here is someone who looks like him calling him out. And they told no lies as far as I'm concerned.
It continues to baffle me that white people are in my comments saying that they haven't seen anything that would lead them to believe that Charlie Kirk was a racist. And my original question was whether the algorithm just wasn't feeding this stuff to white folks. But by now, I know you've seen the clips. And there is no amount of context on this planet that could ever justify the things this man said. And what keeps coming to mind is a verse from Isaiah chapter 6. Keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. And I'm afraid that this is just the condition of white Christian America. Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk and their MAGA army have waged an all-out smear campaign against the Black community and against Black history, which the last time I checked is our history. And they've done it with dog whistles under the banner of CRT and DEI endlessly. They have endlessly vilified and are now terrorizing the Hispanic community with these ICE raids. And they've decided that it's okay to put poor people of color in cages, but giving them food assistance or healthcare or even setting a minimum wage so that they can earn a living with dignity, these things are somehow a terrible sin. And if you can't see it by now, you will never see it. Because the truth is, you don't want to see it.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely. I saw that video and I actually agreed with everything that he said based on what he. Now I get your point about white people knowing more about themselves. I do get that. The reason why I disagree, and I think that we would be more able to say that somebody's racist or not, is because we're the ones that are the victims of it.
Have to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
It goes both ways. You're absolutely right because we're the ones that have to deal with it. It's like a white person telling me that what I just experienced isn't racism when I feel that it is. Makes no sense. So you're right about that as well. But now here's the thing. Emma said, who was they at the funeral? Exactly. They keep saying they. This is because they're trying to incite war. That's what this is all about. Trump's giving dog whistles. J.D. Vance giving dog whistles. All of these people from the right are giving dog whistles as if we don't know what they're doing. Okay. And then they're trying to drag Black people into the midst of it. And here's the thing, Jay. As soon as Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I reported on it the day that he died. And I told everybody, what did I tell you guys? I said, now watch this. They're going to try their very best to blame this on Black people. And we all know that a white man did it. Before they even said who did it, we knew a white man did it. At least we did. Black people did. We knew that no Black person did that. They were hoping a Black person did it. And then when they found out who it was, they made excuses. Oh, he was radicalized by his trans partner. They have no proof of that. And we don't even have proof that there actually ever was a trans partner, for one.
Exactly.
Okay. And then for two, if he was in fact radicalized, how do we know or how do they know that he wasn't radicalized by the right? Because his family was MAGA. And he also was a follower of Nick Fuentes. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, it's another Charlie Kirk guy, right?
Right, but exactly. Him and Charlie Kirk didn't get along. They were always beefing. In fact, when Charlie Kirk passed away, they posted on X saying that Nick Fuentes is the one who had it done. Okay, LeVar says, Queen, you know, whenever a white person calls out racism, the right just dismisses any of their points and just calls them liberals, even if they aren't. Yes, that's exactly what they do, beloved. That's exactly what they do. Okay, and thank you for your insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. That's exactly what they do. They're in a constant state of denial. They will never own up to their racism. What they'll do is gaslight and deflect us. And I think that it's also fair to say that Charlie Kirk was racist because all of the people around him were racist. If you're not down with racism, I have my good friend who's white. His name is Pastor Dana Stevens. And those of you who follow the spiritual channel know him because I've had him on there. Pastor Dana Stevens is not racist, but he will absolutely call out racist. Okay. And another thing is, when I was in college, I spoke to 3 Klansmen. Now, my professor, who was white, one of my professors, she asked us if we wanted to speak to some former Klan members. Okay, they were former Klan members, let me say. And so, you know, most of the Black students were like, no, I don't want to talk to them. But I did want to talk to them. I wanted to talk to them because I wanted to know, you know, how they think. Okay, what makes them feel the way they feel about Black people and other races that they target with their vitriol? I had several questions. Okay, and so listening to them talk and the things that they said lets me know that Charlie Kirk absolutely was a whole racist. Okay, lets me know that because the things that he said and the things that he did were the same things that they claim that racist people do and say. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to go to this video of, hold on, who is this? Hold on, I'm going to play 2 more videos, or actually 1 more video. Hold on, here we go. Like that, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Now, I want to hear what this man has to say.
You know, the Bible says in James chapter 4, verse 4, that a friend of the world is an enemy with God. Okay, if CK, and it's the last time I'm talking about this because this is irritating. If CK was really on a mission for Christ, why is the United States government awarding him with the Medal of Freedom? Why has he had his funeral proceedings at a stadium? And why are people running around getting tattoos of him? You see, why are people and quote unquote Christians are saying that, you know, they're trying to make parallels between him and Paul and G. Y'all need to stop this. Y'all turned this guy into an idol. Mm-hmm. Okay, you guys are idolizing someone who, number 1, did not die for your sins. Number 2, did not open up any pathways of any salvation. Didn't open up any bridge between secular, quote unquote, Christianity. What it has done was it has given America a broader scope of hypocrisy, a broader scope on idolatry, and a broader scope on blasphemy. Anytime you compare Charlie Kirk's mission to Jesus Christ, that's blasphemy.
You have lost your mind.
Anytime you see people running around getting tattoos of Charlie Kirk and, you know, and freedom tattoos tattooed on themselves, that is idolatry. And when you uphold a man in the same ranks as Jesus Christ, in the same ranks as Apostle Paul, the same ranks as St. John, in the same ranks of Peter, that's blasphemy. Charlie Kirk didn't do anything for the gospel. Charlie Kirk didn't do anything for the secular world of Christian, of biblical understanding. Number 1, I don't believe in Christianity. Christianity is a religion. The people that follow God believe in holiness. So when you put a guy up on a pedestal and you say, oh, well, he did this and he did that. No, he didn't. Everything that he stood for was divisive. All right. A lot of things he called out, we could trim that with a razor. But on a broader scale, if anybody didn't know who he was and they saw his videos, they could make a judgment from that. Because a lot of people say, well, you can't judge him. Well, the Bible says that the spiritual man judges all things. And then it says, judge not lest you be judged. So if I'm doing the same thing that he's doing, I can't say anything. But because I'm not doing what he was doing, I can say something. See, the Bible says, judge not off the appearance, but judge righteous judgment, which means don't judge him just because he's a white guy. Don't judge him just because he drinks Starbucks tea, just because he wears a suit, just because he's a Trumper. I'm judging him off of the merit of what he has had come out of his mouth, his political standpoints, right? The things he stood for. Anytime you say that black women, right, don't have the capacity to think for themselves, anytime you say that the 1940s were better off for brothers and sisters, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You see, I'm a little older than Charlie was. Charlie was 31. I'm 38. So I know a little bit more about what's going on within the community that I live in than he does. You see, I'm making this video because this is a broader scope on the hypocrisy and the idolatry that has been exalted in these days. Okay? The Bible clearly says a friend of the world is an enemy of God. If the world is celebrating, which means if America is celebrating his life, right, and they can do whatever they want, but when the president comes out and gives him a medal of freedom, free Edom, people are running around getting tattoos, people are running around at Starbucks trying to give him a drink. That doesn't sound like somebody that was truly on a mission for Jesus Christ. That sounds like somebody that was rubbing elbow to elbow and toe to toe and shoulder to shoulder with the world. So miss me with the BS, because realize. Facts
exactly.
over feelings. Sorry, not sorry.
All day, every day.
Jesus said, expose them.
Exactly, and that's what we're gonna do. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. Okay. I like him because he was quoting me, or I say those same quotes.
Realize.
Yeah, exactly. Tupac. Now, with that all being said, now let's listen to this, because this is Charlie Kirk, and this is a clip from Charlie Kirk that has recently resurfaced when he was talking greasy about Simone Biles. Now, I want somebody to find me a video where he's talking greasy about somebody who looks like him.
You're representing your nation, you're selfish sociopath. I just said she's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish. She's immature, and she is a shame to the country.
LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart. LeBron James chronically cheats on his wife, obviously. He's an NBA player.
Because of DEI, it begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? It almost creates thought patterns that are not necessarily wholesome. Black America was getting richer, they were getting stronger, and families were largely still put together before the Great Society, Voting Rights Act, and Civil Rights Act. 60 years later, Black America is in a worse position. I'm not saying it's because of the Civil Rights Act. I'm not saying it's because of the Voting Rights Act, but somewhere something went awry. I can name at least a dozen people more deserving in the 20th century of a federal holiday than MLK. The reason we talk about race so much is because we have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding.
Okay, absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, what do you think about that, what he said, Jay? When he said that, Dr. King talked about race so much, and basically that's why we have, we have so much racism or race being talked about right now. It's because we have a holiday for a guy who all he talked about was race.
Well, clearly his issue was anything to do with Black people, specifically, just because this is what we're talking about here, Black people getting ahead. And it comes out in every single thing that he says in this clip, at least. And I don't want to answer your question with a question, because I feel like I answered, but
why? You can ask the question.
Yeah. Why in the world, what would anybody say, but you didn't get the context, though?
Right.
That part I'm
because
not.
They want to make excuses.
Yeah, but you're thinking out of, what are you talking about? If you add context to that, it's worse.
Right, clearly. Okay. And that's what Marlon, when the guy that I had the debate with, that's what he was over here trying to tell me, that, that it was taken out of context. And then I
If
said,
you
well,
add context,
I
is
might have,
worse. You want me to give
right.
you the context? Context. This is the context. Okay. Here's the context. He's white. He's feels like a black person took his spot in college, so he couldn't get into college. Clearly, he wanted to. That's why he applied. He's also speaking to a group of people who are, and I'm going to say it, who have been self-identified as racist people, at minimum white supremacists. Okay. He's making money off of those people's feelings of hate toward minorities, specifically blacks. Right? So I'm just giving you the context, right? He's making millions of dollars off of that. Okay.
Exactly.
So if the more context I give you, the worse it sounds. So I don't know why people say you took it out of context. Don't let me give you the context. Let's just pretend that this was just a voice. Because if I tell you about who the voice was, it just makes it worse for you.
Exactly. And now I'm going to play a video from the amazing Lucas. Y'all know I love the amazing Lucas because he has my same talking points. I mean, we think alike as far as I'm concerned. And here he is in a clip saying things that you all know that I've told you myself.
One second, before you play that, somebody said, I bet he would roast Marlon in a debate. I did last week. I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did last week. I called
he
it.
Literally did roast Marlon.
I literally did last week, and his partner, both of them, last week in the same day. One in the morning, and one got belt to ass in the afternoon.
Yes. Absolutely. Nicole, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Yes, Jay got on their channel. Okay. Talk to Corey first and then Marlon. All right. I loved it when you told me that. I loved it when you told me that. And here's the thing. Jay and Marlon are both Trinidadian. And what did he tell you? He's the old Trinidadian and you're the new one?
Yeah. He before I even got on, he already tried to, this is what they do. He tried to reign supreme. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they want supremacy, right? So we're trying to get off on a right foot and have a good, solid conversation. And the first thing you say is, I'm better than you. Now let's start.
That's essentially what he was saying.
Exactly.
Okay. That was crazy to me. And then you and Corey were agreeing at first, and then somewhere it all went left. And then he started going in on you very disrespectfully, in my opinion. And then when you asked him if you could say something, he's like, you got a mouth?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, where's all the hostility coming from? What did you say?
I said, can I speak now? Like, and Marlon didn't even go on. What Marlon did is he muted me. He kept muting me so I couldn't speak. But he doesn't realize, I guess he mutes the people who are on his channel, and they're not that smart. So they don't realize that you can unmute yourself. So I just kept unmuting myself.
But you know what's funny about that? I want you all to pay attention, everyone in the chat, because when Marlon was on here, trying to debate me, which I wouldn't even call that a debate either. Okay, I wouldn't even call that a debate because it was just so sad how it all turned out. I was clearly disappointed, but he kept saying that I wouldn't let him speak, but he's muting you. And see, that's he can sneakily do that because the audience can't see that he's muting you. You see what I'm saying? So he's nothing but a hypocrite. Okay, nothing but a hypocrite.
And he lied to his audience during the call, and then he admitted that he lied. And the crazy thing, Queen, is that his audience was saying literally this is like cultish, this is like Trumpish. Like his audience was like, Marlon doesn't lie. In all capitals, they're like, Marlon doesn't lie. What are you talking about? Marlon doesn't lie. And I was like, you keep muting me because you're scared of me. You're scared of what I'm going to say. And then they're like, Marlon's not scared of anybody. Doesn't this sound like a Trump supporter? He doesn't lie, and he's not scared of anybody, and he's the greatest, and there's nothing that he could do wrong. And they kept saying that. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And shout out Mark Jag, because I watched the live of theirs, and they were going in on Mark Jag. You're lucky I didn't watch the live. And I only knew about him from your channel, but he kept muting me, and his audience kept saying that. And then later on, he admitted, he said, okay, I lied about that. He literally said that. He said, okay, I lied about that. And when he said, okay, I lied about that, his audience said nothing, because I was trying to say, you lied the whole time.
Right, because he's a liar. He was on here lying. When I asked him, when I said I would have looked more favorably at Charlie Kirk had he called out people who look like him, you know, and Martin was like, oh, he did that all the time. I said, do you have any clips, you know, of him doing that? Because I've never seen it. Now, I've been hearing about this man and watching his videos for about 5 or 6 years, at least. And then Martin says, oh, I didn't bring clips. I didn't know we were bringing clips. Well, you know, it's not my fault you brought a knife to a gunfight. If you knew that you were coming on here to prove your points about Charlie Kirk, how would you be able to prove your points without bringing proof? You think we're just going to go by what you say? Well, I know he's a whole liar. Okay. He also went over there and lied and told those people that when he called that black woman a monkey, that I didn't hear him say that on that channel. So I have to be someone who follows him, basically, because I have to know him, because I said I didn't know him, which I don't.
Was getting so
I know
angry
of him.
at that
There's
part.
a difference.
I was getting so angry at that part. And the one that I called into, the show that I jumped onto, was the one that he was going over y'all two's conversation, because I'm not going to call it a debate either, because he got crushed. So I'm not going to call it a debate either. But it's so funny, you know, our producer, shout out to C, he's I'm sure he's in the chat somewhere. But our producer mentioned it to me. He's like, you know what's so funny? They make all these claims, and not one time do they show any video on their channel. They don't show any clip of anything. They don't show an article. They don't even show a photo. And then they keep telling the audience to say, oh, well, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. And how can you have and then they were like, well, I just don't know. The other one, what's his name? Corey kept just saying, well, I don't know. I said, how is your opinion so strong if you don't know? Either you know, have enough information to have an opinion, or you don't know enough. So just shut the hell up and listen. How you have so much to say when you don't know? like
make it make sense.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Now let's go to Amazing Lucas. Okay, let me get an overlay.
They will never in a million years listen to a white woman. I'm just letting you know. They will never listen to a woman of any color, to be honest with you, surely not a white woman, giving them directions on what they should do, giving them directions on how they should live their life. Because many of the white youth, the male white youth, are not only incels, but they're very misogynistic, okay? And that stems from a certain Christian nationalism that they have, in which, hey, a female cannot lead a man. There will never be a female leader over a group of white men. Will not happen in modern time. I don't know if it's happened in history at any point in time. It won't happen.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Turning Point USA, in a nutshell, is scrambling right now to find a white male. They don't have that, bro. they don't have that. Unless by the grace of God, well, maybe not God, by the grace of Satan, that somehow someone manages and comes up like a Moses figure and saves the organization.
Toast.
That being said, the real sad part about all of this is truly of him being a tool now for conspiracy. We'll get into that momentarily, but he also didn't have any friends. He really didn't have any friends. Let's take, for example, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he didn't say this. I believe it was Junior who said, well, he's like a son to you.
You know, Don said to me, he's sort of like a son to you.
And I want you to understand this is how he treats someone who's like a son to him. When asked, well, how are you holding up, Mr. President? Donald Trump says, you know, very good. And then immediately directs to, hey, well, they're doing construction in the ballroom and it's almost done and yada, yada, yada.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 days? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction at the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks have just started. So it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be One of the best anywhere in the world, actually.
Then, if you don't remember, the day after Charlie Kirk being removed from planet Earth, you have Trump at a baseball game doing his little dance and everything. Not very, I don't know, reminiscent of someone who's mourning or grieving. And then the cherry on top.
It's never been easier to start a podcast.
Is that during an interview during a Fox News, that when the interviewer asked, hey, Charlie Kirk didn't believe in hate speech, that Donald Trump responded with a glib remark whereas he's like, well, I think he may believe in it now.
Charlie said, that there was no such thing as hate speech. He obviously, no one anticipated what happened to Charlie, but you have always been.
Now, I want you to understand, they wanted to get on me for memes. You have the President of the United States on multiple accounts being dismissive and honestly disrespectful to his son, Charlie Kirk.
Now, didn't I tell you all that they were disrespecting Charlie Kirk? Didn't I say that multiple times? And in fact, I told you they were disrespecting him for one by comparing him to Dr. King, because Charlie Kirk didn't even like Dr. King. The person that he revered, and I'm sure he would love to further be compared to, would be Rush Limbaugh, okay? Another racist who's a wanton supremacist. But let me continue.
Wake up, nigga.
Then we pivot to Erica Kirk, not to be accused of targeting her, but I will say that fundraising off of your husband no longer being here, it's a little weird. I would say it's a little perverse, okay? That's just me. Everyone mourns, and grieves differently. But in addition to that, having someone record you as you're crying over your husband, all right, at the casket, open casket, and you releasing this out to the public for clicks and attention, which is what many with, an IQ above room temperature would argue that you're doing, once again, doesn't come off as genuine.
And that's because, in my opinion, it wasn't genuine. That was all by design and part of the agenda to further push their narrative, to spew and sow seeds of hate. Okay, now, because for one, that video of Charlie getting shot should have been taken down from the internet immediately. That was gruesome. That blood spilling out of his neck like that. I told you it was hard to watch, and they kept that video up for quite some time. Now, we all know that when something like that happens, they snatch the video down immediately. Okay, they left it up on purpose. They wanted people to see it. They wanted people to grow angry and want revenge. They even said on Fox News they would avenge him. That's what they said. His wife, Erica, said that you don't know what you've done, or they don't know what they've done. Who's they? Tyler Robinson's only one person, okay? But let Lucas preach.
It comes off as a little icky. I think many people pointed out that Candace Owens is her video of her laughing with Charlie and everything felt more genuine than what his wife actually released, especially if you, on top of everything she did with the speech, something was off there. But as I said, everyone can mourn and grieve however they feel. Let's go on further into the conspiracy route, because what we're dealing right now is conspiracy land. That's what Charlie Kirk is being used for, is conspiracy land to attack Israel. And we have some familiar faces. We have Nick Fuentes and we have Candace Owens. Now, this time, it seems that everything is switched.
And CJ, that's the thing. I've been calling her Candace Owens for years, at least 5. Please pay attention. That's why I love it.
Because there was a period of time where Candace Owens was a very, a valiant army, a valiant soldier for defense of Israel. And there was a point in time where Nick Fuentes was like, hey, Israel is doing this. They, destroying our country. They're, our money is going towards them, right? Very critical of Israel. Now, things have switched. Now it argues because a little heat happened to fall on Nick Fuentes.
But this whole blaming it on the Groypers, yeah, that seems like the definition of a psyop.
Because people were saying that the shooter was a Groyper. We have a picture of him very much, almost eye to eye, in the Pepe Frog meme that's going around. Now, as we all know, that the Pepe Frog is very one-to-one with the Groyper army, which is Nick Fuentes' army. And we understand that Nick Fuentes has been very critical of Charlie Kirk.
For Charlie Kirk to go on his show today and say there is no forced starvation Here comes a rabbi to tell us why. Without a shadow of a doubt, he is being paid by them.
But recently, Nick Fuentes has talked about, hey, they're trying to blame it on me, okay, for the Charlie Kirk. And he's come out and says, I decry any type of political violence. Almost if, I don't know, maybe he had gotten the call.
There's a lot of people that are under the impression that there was some wider conspiracy by the Jews, by Israel, to kill Charlie Kirk. And as you know, I am not convinced of this at all.
Ironic. Very different behavior. Very interesting.
Because that's not quite what he was saying days ago. But let's continue.
Take note of that. Then we juxtapose that with Candace Owens, who's going all in, talking about, hey, something doesn't feel right. Bill Ackman and everything.
His top Jewish donors were pulling funding from him, demanding that Charlie take their name off of the building that they had donated to Turning Point. I guess I can figure out who that is, how many people could have donated a building. And then once Charlie was killed, they said, never mind, put it back on the building. He went on to Patrick Bet-David's podcast. He went on to Brendan Tatum's podcast. He went on to the Nelk Boys podcast. Anybody find it weird he didn't do Charlie Kirk's show?
And then she's looking over Netanyahu, which I will say was a bit off, okay? It's a bit weird of you saying or you putting words in a dead man, right? Because he wants to say that Charlie Kirk lived to defend for Israel. That was one of his greatest, accomplishes, being a Christian and everything. It's like,
he told me, the Holy Land is so important to my life, it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. One of my greatest joys as a Christian, he said, is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews to protect Judeo-Christian civilization.
What?
One of the great challenges.
Okay, I find it also interesting.
it just feels a little icky. You putting in words to a dead man who can't confirm or deny that he actually said that to you. But who am I to judge, right? Who am I? Nevertheless, this leads us with, an ongoing investigation of people trying to true crimes it and figure out, well, did the bullet hit here? Was it a magic bullet? Why did this person do this? And we truly begin to see just how alone Charlie Kirk was. Like how alone Charlie Kirk was, bruh. Because you have people going off of cuckoo for Cocoa Puff land. You got your own wife fundraising. And then you also have the administration utilizing his passing to try and usher in hate speech laws and whatnot. It's just, man, when I say a tool, I mean a tool. This man is being used more as a tool, not being here, than he was alive. We're going to be honest. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see is what someone would say if they actually felt it was sad to see. I think for many of us, it was expected. Anyways, guys, that's the video.
Okay, so I want you all to pay attention because he was literally calling Charlie Kirk a tool. Okay, and that's exactly what he is. And as he said, they're using him as even more of a tool in his passing. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're using him as a tool of white supremacy. And we all know what the great Dr. Neely Fuller said, okay, about white supremacy and their tools, what they do with them when they're done. They break them. Okay, that's what they do. And sad to say, that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Okay, so what do you think about everything that he was saying, Jay?
First of all, he played a lot of stuff that I actually didn't see. He did play, but he also said a lot of things that I didn't see. For example, he was talking about the photo at the funeral, but with the wife, and she had like people videotaping her while she was crying over the casket, and then put that out. Did you see that? That actually happened. I'm assuming it's not.
I showed it.
Really?
No, I showed it on my live.
That's crazy.
This was like days after, like maybe 2 days after. Wow. It was really cringe and weird. He's laying in the coffin. She's like kissing on his hands and his skin's discolored and all this stuff. It's just like so crazy. I don't even know why that would be public, okay, other than to push some sort of nefarious agenda, in my opinion. That's the only thing I could think of, to invoke rage, okay, to rage bait. Yeah. People seeing him there dead. She's crying. This is the wife. She's left to grieve, has children to raise alone. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that part
exactly
was
what it
crazy.
looked like.
That
That's
part,
what it was given.
I was shocked on that. And I did know about the donation stuff. I saw like so many mixed comments on that. It was like, oh, so you're donating to millionaires. And then I saw some people saying, well, it's their money. They could do whatever they want, which is both is true. Yeah, do whatever you want. But I'm just, this all seems very obvious to me that, like, are we the only ones that are seeing it?
Like, this is so crazy, right?
Yeah, like there's not even a real cover up. Like this is like the sloppiest, like, you know what I'm saying? This is like just so obvious to me. Nothing about this makes any sense unless somebody's making dollars.
That's right. And also, by the way, songwriter Sunny says she forgave the white shooter and everyone applauded. That's the most disgusting form of on code. Right. And I'm so glad you said that. Yes, they absolutely, the right, they're on code. Okay, they are on code. That's exactly what that is. And that's why they're giving these dog whistles. Okay, she did say she forgave the shooter. Another thing is Nancy Mace, prior to finding out that it was a white conservative that did the killing, she was calling for the death penalty. And that's because she thought it was somebody who looked like me. She's thinking if somebody took out Charlie Kirk, who would want to take him out? It would have to be one of the people that he was speaking negatively about, one of those groups of people. So she thought that it was likely somebody who was an immigrant, somebody who was black, or somebody who was trans. And she was calling for the death penalty. But her tune changed so quickly when they found out that it was Tyler Robinson. And then she all of a sudden started saying, well, you know, Charlie would want us to forgive. Yeah, that's how that works. Okay, that's how that works. And his wife forgave the shooter. Do you think she would have forgiven the shooter if they didn't look like her? Yeah, I highly doubt it. I
Yeah,
highly
and then
doubt it.
they
And they
got to
don't
show
even now, Jay, they don't want to give the shooter his just due. They're sitting there acting as though it's not his fault that he was radicalized. Somebody else made him this way because now they also said that he was radicalized by his schooling. That's another thing they said. Just trying so hard to shift the blame, like they cannot, though they try, make it make sense. That's what they can't do. It's so crazy.
So they couldn't pin it to anything. So they've said school. Then they said it's the girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. I don't know what kind of trans the other person is. So it's a trans person. It's a school. Who's it next? Did he start hanging out with some blacks?
Okay, like make it all make sense. So you know,
are we going to see a Photoshop photo of him at a HBCU?
Okay, exactly. Okay, this is all so crazy. Anyway, you know, the bottom line is they're absolutely using this man's death to just, you know, spew all this hatred. And I find it interesting that they say they need to get rid of hate speech when they're the ones doing the hate speech. That what they want to do is just censor the rest of us because to them, the hate speech is us speaking against their agenda. To them, the hate speech is us saying that Charlie Kirk was a racist, saying they shouldn't compare him to Dr. MLK. That's what's hate speech to them. Anything that goes against or anything that's contrary to their views and opinions is hate speech. Okay, you heard what Ted Cruz said. Okay, these people are, you know, making all these threats and everything is just really crazy. So and like I told you guys the other day, that it's very dangerous when they start censoring people so much because it gets to a point where they're censoring you. So that means they're telling you what you can and cannot say. That at some point can start to affect the minds of people.
Right.
Well, not mine, because I'm very strong-minded, but there are weak-minded people, okay? And this starts to affect their minds because now then what the government is doing, not only controlling your speech, they're now controlling the minds of the multitude, of the masses.
Right.
And they
No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's just real crazy. Okay, so Jay, I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up because I know you have things to do. Do you have any final thoughts or points that you would like to make?
Yeah, I do.
Also, shout out your channel so that
Yeah,
people can
shout
follow
out our channel, Conversations with Jay. Obviously, you can see on the screen, my name is Jaykhn, Jaykhan. All right, so Conversations with Jay is spelled Khan, Versations with Jay, Jay. Go and show our channel some love, y'all. I appreciate it. We just started our channel in June, and we are growing pretty fast, so we would appreciate that you go and show our channel some love. Most of our videos are lives, and I do a live every single morning at around 7:30, sometimes a little bit late, so maybe it's at 7:40, but every morning from Monday to Thursday. So every single morning from Monday to Thursday. So I will see you guys if you guys are around Monday to Thursday. We keep the live up all day before we take it down, so you guys can check it out. Aside from that, I do have one thing to say. I heard one person say, they said, do not let any tragedy go to waste. And I think that this is exactly what they're doing. They're making sure that they're capitalizing on this tragedy. And whether it's a whole conspiracy thing and they set it up all together, or it was something that just happened, either way, they are clearly capitalizing on the tragedy. And it was a quote. I don't remember who said this quote, but it keeps ringing in my head every single time I see some of these disingenuous things going around. And, even some people like the channel Too Strong, I also believe that they are also making sure that they're not letting this go to waste. They're capitalizing on getting new audiences and getting more views because of the fact that, they're Black and they have an opinion that a raccoon would have. Sorry. So they're like, you know what, let's lean into this. And even if we don't make sense, we'll always make sense to people who agree with us. Right. So, I just think that this is exactly what's happening. And I don't agree with it. And you know what? Some people are definitely going to capitalize off of it, but I don't believe that should be your goal, because when it is your goal, you do exactly what this gentleman was doing, Kirk. And what Kirk was essentially doing, in my view, was he was capitalizing on his audience being filled with hate. And he was playing into that, whether he felt like all the stuff or not. He was clearly saying triggering things. He was clear. And when I say trigger, I'm not even talking about triggering to our community, triggering to his community in the sense that, yeah, that's exactly what I think. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm talking about. Their version of amen that we say in church. And he was saying those things in particular ways on purpose. He was using buzzwords and he was using narratives and he was spreading rhetoric that he knew his audience would eat right up and that they would go out and do those things. And to me, that is wrong, because you know what your audience says and does. You know them. Like they're in your comments all the time. They're at your rallies. They're all over. So don't tell me you don't know your audience. You don't know the type of people. And of all the videos I've seen of this gentleman, I've never seen any video of, yes, you're right, him talking about his own people. But I've also never seen any video of him saying, guys, we're not here to hate. We're not here to spread hate. And he knows what his audience does. Right. And I never seen him say to his audience, relax, guys, we're here to be great and we're here to make this country better. And that's not going to happen with spreading hateful things to other people. So just relax. You know why? Because all those people who are donating and just put whatever to his cause and his channel and paying for his, lifestyle and his traveling around to these schools to argue with kids and all this stuff, they would leave. There would be no turning point. There would be no millions of dollars. There would be nothing like that. So he's playing right into that. And I don't think that's right. I just don't think that's right.
That's right. Exactly. And I have to agree. Okay. So, Jay, I really appreciate you coming on here again. It's always a pleasure to have you on here. And I just put your link in the chat. For those of you who don't have Jay's link, it's right there in the chat. I just dropped it. Okay. So with that all been said, Sandra says, Queen, Nancy J just reported that conspiracy theorists are right. And now Cash Patel is now looking for other suspects. Really? I find that very interesting. Okay, so I'll be looking into that. All right, so listen, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Okay, I hope you enjoy the rest of this evening. Don't forget to follow Jay. Be sure to hit the like button on your way out. I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hit him with that flavor. Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got